So my junior year kind of like flew by because career ed was like everyone thought that it would be really hard, but it really wasn't. And so like our first project, the business plan was actually like really fun and turned out to be easier after knowing how to do everything. So like I was the CFO, so I did all the financials for a group project, and so it was really hard like find out specific codes, but once we got down to everything that we needed to know, it actually wasn't that difficult. But the one thing about the business plan that I did like was even though we procrastinated, we still managed to get a really good grade. The project was due like on a Monday, and so me, Yaretzi, and Helen, which were in my group to make our crepe shop, we spent at least 36 hours together between 2 weekends trying to compound everything that we needed to know. And then that day that it was due, we still stayed up almost all night with some breaks in between for us to sleep so that we finished everything. But honestly, it all turned out really good. The college board project, so I did mine on UCLA and I learned a lot about it, but like it wasn't a lot to the point where I didn't already know what I was saying in my presentation. So like a lot of the stuff, like how big it was, how much it was per year, the A through G requirements, the colors, the mascot, everything and all that, like it was stuff that I already knew because I knew that I wanted to go to that college, so I already was familiar with that all that stuff myself. So it was actually a really easy project. Some of the guest speakers that I like were, well, they weren't necessarily ones that I liked, but like the ones that I remember the most were the military people that would always come in, because there was one I can't remember the name of, but there's always one that comes in at least like 3 times a year. Like he came in for career ed, he came in 3 times. This year, senior year, he came in twice, and one was in like internship, and it was really random because he has like that familiar face. And so every time I see him, I just think back to like those moments in career ed where he came in 3 different times, and it was all to talk about the same thing over and over again. Or so for the etiquette unit, it kind of ties up with our mark interviews, but Miss Tina was probably one of the greatest people that I've ever met in my life. So, when we first met her, she was like really nice and everything, and I really like those bubbly personalities that like really project out everything. And so Miss Tina was just one of those people that was like really nice, really positive, really outgoing, really trying to involve everyone, which is a really good thing. But then yeah, so I was really excited about Etiquette Wednesdays. I loved Etiquette Wednesdays. Like I don't know why, if it was just because we like seeing Miss Tina or something, but we always loved just watching her and like come over here, just have her talk with us and everything. She was just like one of those people that you're glad that you have a connection with. And so what we did is that the day of our mock interviews, it was, yeah, the day of our mock interviews, Izzy and I ended up buying her and like making her like this gift basket that we gave to her because we liked her so much. Like Miss Tina's like one of those people that's like high tier with their stuff, and like we're always gonna remember her. Like if she passes by later on, we're gonna say hi and she's probably gonna know who we are just because we made that strong connection and impact with her. But honestly, if it was, I would retake Etiquette Wednesdays because just the fact of like learning what it takes to be a professional person is like really important. And especially with what I'm going to be going through as like a social worker or math teacher, like etiquette would be a really good skill for me to have. And I felt like I learned a lot, but there's still a lot that I'm missing. So yeah. And then the mock interviews. So it was, the mock interviews were an interesting thing, but the real like things that I remember from it were just it was being in front of this guy from what was it, the Bank of America. He was a manager at the Tracy's Bank of America. And so when we were talking in class with Miss Tina and Mr. Woods about like what things we were supposed to do and what things we weren't supposed to do, the one thing I can remember not doing, like we weren't allowed to do, is that we weren't allowed to lie about who we are, because if we lie, it kind of gives off like this push that basically like kind of tells them that we're lying. Like they know if we're lying and they know if we're honest and stuff like that. And so, um, another thing that I can remember them telling us is don't lead with something if you don't know where it's gonna go. So like it kind of ties in the line, but like let's say they told you guys to like if they were asking you a question and like you just gave an answer like out of the top of your head, you want to make sure that the answer isn't too broad to the point where you can't just drop back. Like, it's not a good thing if you just bring it out and then you don't like connect it back into the conversation. Like, if you steer it quite away, it's just not going to be a good restraint for yourself. Some things that I do remember them telling us to always do is to always be confident in everything that we're saying. Never act shy, because shy can leave us being nervous, and nervous can leave us shaking or sweating or doing stuff like that. So that's just one thing you did. You always wanted to have confidence with yourself. You never wanted to just lack energy. Another thing that I could always remember them is how we had to sit up straight. And like from that point on, I basically sit straight. Like, I always think about it and I always recall it, and I'm always like, oh yeah. I remember them talking about how we always have to keep proper posture to the point where our back should not be touching the chair. Like, I don't know why, that's just something that always stayed with me. And the last thing that we always had to do was make sure that you connect your weaknesses to make them sound like your motivations. Like, a weakness that would sound really good for an employer to hear would be, I feel like I dedicate too much time into my job. Like, that's a good thing, because then they know that you're really outgoing, you're really determined, you're really trying to conquer everything that you're trying to do. But you may find it as a fault and they might see it as a boost. So you don't want to go like, I'm really lazy, or you just kind of want to go, I feel like I'm more connected to it. And the last thing was the fast track and college experience. So for me, fast track was fun. Personal finance was fun. I took U.S. history and world history over fast track, and world history was honestly boring. I don't know why. I just didn't really find it interesting, except for the World War II chapter. But like, I feel with World War II, anyone could really grab a general interest. U.S. history was fun because, we had Shotwell and it was all interesting. And then for personal finance, I just felt like I learned what I needed to learn in order for me to like be successful in the future. And so like, yeah, I felt like Mr. Snow really helped us out. And then for college experience, I mean, I've been taking Delta classes since I was since my second semester of my sophomore year. So I've taken like 7 semesters already, I think. And like, each semester I either do good or bad, but like, I failed one class, which is like something that I really regret, is that I failed a class. And like, taking these harder classes, I'm learning that there's stuff that I'm good at and stuff that I'm not good at, so I really need to learn where they have to be. But honestly, I really like taking college classes. I enjoy the small groups, and it also helped me learn that community college is just not for me. If I don't get into a UC or CSU, I really, really hope I don't have to go to community college. I really hope that I can just push forward and keep on going with whatever I have to do.